So we're in the very beginning of a year-long journey together. We're setting up our intention to study from the inside out, the four boundless qualities of the heart, known as the Brahma Viharas, the sublime or noble qualities of the heart-mind. We cultivate these heartful qualities and we exercise them so as to awaken and strengthen them. As my karate teacher used to always say, practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent. We are not acquiring something like a new body of knowledge or a new language. We're taking qualities that we all inherently possess. And by inclining our intentions, our thoughts, and our hearts toward them again and again, we are transforming our hearts into homes for these qualities to abide in. Think of the practice as a home renovation project of sorts. But rather than needing to first rip out old walls and flooring, tiling, plumbing, etc., we're just concerning ourselves with installation of new material. We incline our heart minds again and again. And of course, my dear friends and co-teachers and myself will spend much time this year discussing and describing the particulars of the practices that we can use. But for this moment, the main thing to understand is that every single time, we bring ourselves out of our habituated reactivity of thoughts and action. Every time we incline our minds with intention to bring kind friendliness, sympathetic joy, compassion, or equanimity to this moment, right here and right now, we are doing the installation. It may not always be perceived or even be felt in the moment. We may even be sometimes installing post facto. We remember sometime after an occurrence. And even then, we can recall and bring forth these qualities of heart and mind. It's okay. This is also helpful installation. Cultivating a kind, grounded, present, compassionate, and equanimous heart is usually a slow but steady, gradual process. Think of the process of growing a flower or vegetable garden. We plant, we weed, we fertilize, we water, we get out of the way and allow the sun to shine. So really, all we actually do is plant and cultivate. The rest is an organic, natural, and inevitable unfolding. And we always begin these practices with metta, translated as loving kindness or kind friendliness. Metta is the specific quality of the heart-mind, which is not just another one of the four Brahma Viharas. Metta is actually the bedrock from which the other three are formed. Think of what happens when a kind and friendly quality is brought forth in the midst of another person's experience of joy. The result is the quality of sympathetic joy. Or when metta is brought to bear amidst another person's experience of pain or sorrow. This results in compassion. Or when metta is brought forth as an overall way of being steady and present amidst the inevitable blowing of the earthly winds. This results in equanimity. Lots more to say about all that in future talks. So really, it's all metta. It is always the kind, generous, caring, protective, tender, and friendly quality of the heart-mind that can, together with mindfulness, together with non-judging, awareful presence, be brought forth to any moment we experience within ourselves and with others. Metta is most famously compared to the quality of a mother's love for her young and only child. This mother would do anything for her child. She'd sacrifice anything for the sake of protecting and caring for her child. This is not just love as a feeling or as an emotional state. It is love in the most fiercely committed sense of the word. This mother's nurturing presence is drawn forth from her dedication and commitment. When she is tired, achy, exhausted, frustrated, and just plain not in the mood, she will rise again and again and tend to her child. There is no keeping score. There are no expectations of recognition or compensation. So too, we practice just this way. Each moment of remembering is the only moment we have, the only moment that exists. It doesn't matter if we brought forth friendly, kind, loving qualities a moment before now, or we will in some moments from now. Here we are, now. This is how we practice mindfulness. And in this very same way is how we practice and cultivate metta. Metta is understood to be a practice as important and fundamental as mindfulness itself. So where do we begin? How do we begin? Susan and Bill always say, to others as to myself as to others. This captures the essence of metta. We see through the veils of greed, of hatred, and of delusion. And what we see on the other side of it is ourselves and others so much more clearly and accurately. Our fears manifesting as our reactivity, our aversion, our self-referential thinking and behaving can drop away, even if only for this moment or these few moments. And what opens is how we are all essentially so much more the same than different. The ability to abide, present and aware in a visceral sense of connectedness and interconnectedness. This is the reason that the practice of metta typically begins with and toward ourselves. What else can we offer toward others with a heart-mind that is constricted with shame, self-loathing, or fear? Can we really hold others in a way that isn't available for us to hold ourselves? I read a line just the other day. Kindness begins with the understanding that we all struggle. Kindness begins with the understanding that we all struggle. This is the frame and the context for metta. So we begin by bringing this as a conscious appreciation for ourselves. Hey, I'm a struggler. I mess up. I forget over and over. It seems like for every time I'm mindful and kind and caring, there could be so many other times of forgetting and of fear-based and habit-based reactivity. And it's okay. It's more than okay. It's just the way I am meant to be. To be human is to struggle. To be human is to forget. And then to remember, to return, to begin again and again. And you know what? All throughout this time that we have been meeting here together, from the very beginnings of the COVID outbreak, online, in this daily sit, alone but together, Bill and Susan have already been introducing and helping us to cultivate metta. Maybe we didn't call it by this name. Maybe we just thought of it as a skillful way to set up our practice for mindfulness. But this is what it has always been. Cultivating the holding environment is a cultivation of metta with ourselves. Learning how to meet whatever shows up as we settle down on the cushion, in our seats, in our chosen posture. As Rumi describes in his famous poem, The Guest House, when there's a knocking at the door by an unwanted visitor, we learn how to turn toward that dark thought, the shame, the malice. We open the door. We invite whatever has arrived in for tea. We open instead of close. We soften instead of tighten. We acknowledge rather than deny or avoid. We breathe into and with the unfolding of our experience rather than holding the breath and wishing or willing unpleasantness or difficulty away. We attend to befriend. Aversion as a mind and heart state leads to the reaction of abandonment. We don't like the experience, and so we turn away, fighting, flighting, freezing, numbing, avoiding, compulsively busying ourselves, and so on. In these moments too, metta can be called forth, and we can stand near and even with our aversion. We can become curious and kind towards it. We can investigate its experience. This is a deeply wise befriending, and its benefits are for each of us to discover within and through our very own personal experience. I prefer to translate metta as kind friendliness than the more common term loving kindness, because I relate better with this. I understand metta to be less a practice of feeling or experiencing love than of cultivating tolerance and respect and friendship and clear seeing and courage. I am aiming to ultimately embody more connectedness and experience more happiness and peace. And that is important. What intentions, what thoughts, what words, what imagery, what associations can enable us to access and cultivate metta? I personally find tremendously powerful kindness and tenderness in the experience of sitting in silent meditation together with other people. All pretenses drop away. The spoken word is only utilized in the service of connecting more deeply and more awarefully within. We share a space. We hold this space for each other and for ourselves. The heart can be seen, felt, and heard within such a space. This is a space where the heart and the qualities of the heart can grow, strengthen, and deepen. Because metta, like the other Brahma Viharas, is also a concentration practice. In focusing into any of a number of ways on the qualities of kind friendliness, we are gathering and concentrating the mind. This itself potentially leads to deeper states of relaxation and peacefulness. This is our first practice with metta, to uncover points of entry that are available for us to access, to feel into, and to discover that the possibility of kindness and a caring heart-mind is available in the midst of any moment, any thought, any feeling, every instance,